it's cool because a young man's country, you would think on first sight, it's about being a young dude, but no, it's really about a young dude turning into an old dude and maturing. And that's the whole process of life, is to mature and just enjoy the ride. That's why they're on horses. They're riding horses. Yeehaw. Giddy up.
Shrevey, who cares about what's on the flip side of a record?
I do! Every one of my records means something. The label, the producer, the year it was made. Who was copying whose styles, who was expanding on that. Don't you understand? When I listen to my records, they take me back to certain points in my life.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Bad luck streak and dance in school, down on my knees in pain. Bad luck streak and dance in school, swear to God I'll change. 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 Paulino me.
All right, welcome to the Record Night Podcast. I'm Colin. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so this episode has been a long time coming. We finally got to listen to Daniel Donato's debut LP, A Young Man's Country. So this record came out on August 7th of this year, and I received it on vinyl a few weeks after that, and then the stars finally aligned where we were able to listen to it as a group. So we had a cosmic record night. It was a lot of fun, and the video that follows here will actually be Jake, Joe, and myself kind of talking about this record a week after having listened to it. So I had the opportunity to talk to Daniel ahead of the release of the record, so you can check out our full conversation in the. I'll put a link in the description below. But one of the things we talked about was kind of how this record came to be. So I'll start this video with Daniel talking about that a little bit, and then it'll cut to Jake, Joe, and I discussing the record. So I'm over the moon about the record. I think it's fantastic, and one of the things we discussed on the actual record night that I don't think we mentioned in the following video is, the country is a pretty polarizing genre. There's a lot of people that really, really dislike it, and I think all of us were in that camp initially. Probably just, I think the country music we were exposed to when we were younger, which I'm not here to disparage anybody. I think there's enough people kind of putting like pop country down, but I think that's the kind of stuff we were exposed to first and just weren't really interested in that. But, artists like Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers, and Shooter Jennings, and there are others, kind of at least got me a little bit more interested in country music. So if you're one of those people that, doesn't like country music, I would recommend any of those artists. But I'll say about this record, I think this is actually probably a really good place to start, because I think that he blends what he does is called cosmic country, and as Tyler Bryant of Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown set of Daniel, he's a freaky player, and I think that that's an apt description of him, and it's a really unique element to be kind of thrown into country music. So I can't recommend this record enough. Jake and Joe, I think, definitely enjoyed it, as you'll hear, but I think this definitely left them wanting more. So regardless of whether you just like this record or think it's a groundbreaking kind of record like I do, we all agreed that Daniel's got a ton of potential, and we can't wait to hear what's next for him. So this is Jake, Joe, and I discussing A Young Man's Country, Daniel Donato's debut LP, and then at the end there's a preview of our next episode of the Record Night Podcast. So feel free to reach out to the podcast. We're on Instagram at Record Night Podcast. You can also reach us recordnightpodcast@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and look forward to our next episode. Thanks for tuning in.
It actually came down to doing Let's Do What We Do live.
Mm-hmm.
My whole thing, man, Orville Peck taught me this, and Paul Collison taught me this, which is you have to tell your story, because your story is what you are. Your story is what you are. It's where you've been. And if you tell your story good enough, well enough, it is where you'll be going. Because it's a great place. The point of entry into music, anything that you offer into the world should be seated in an honest way. And I find with music, it's easy to replace honesty with overthinking strategy. Right? Sometimes that works. Sometimes that works. If you're the artist who is that person, I am fortunately and unfortunately, am me. And so my thing is I'm a live player. I always have been. That's my superpower. Some people have other superpowers where they can stack vocals in really intricate ways that are super auto-tuned and people on TikTok love it, right? My thing is you got to give me a room full of people. You give me 2 hours and you let me tell my story, then you'll get it. And I understand that that's a harder point of entry and that the scale of success is a little bit different, but that's what I've been dealt with in life. And I really appreciate that. So I realized when Robin called me, he called me out of the blue. I was sitting on this cosmic couch back here, which is hard to see. It's actually super, right? Like it literally is, it's the cosmos on a couch.
That's so cool.
It's awesome. Robin called me out of nowhere. He got my number. He's like, I want to do a record with you. I'm starting this label. And we're going to do no streaming. We're going to do CD only. And we're going to do, you cut it live with your band.
Wow.
You know, at first he wanted to put a band together for it. And then we kind of negotiated on some of the terms because I'm very business minded. And so I realized like what Cosmic Country is, I want it to be more than just what Daniel Donato is. I want it to be a band in the sense of you can come to the show and love everyone who's playing. Just like everyone went to the Grateful Dead show. Some people went just to see Phil Lesh play bass.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? At first you wouldn't think that. But then as you get deeper immersed in the culture, you realize, of course, people would do that because they like dancing to those frequencies. So I everything's community based. So I wanted to take what was live, what I did 100 shows last year. I wanted to take that and I wanted to bring that to the people because that was the most honest, non-strategic thing I could do. And it's honestly, it's working out in ways that are really beautiful already. We already put 2 songs out and we're getting more listeners than we ever had and more like industry recognition than we've ever had. And
oh, cool.
It feels like it's right.
All right, here we are. This is the Record Night Podcast. I'm Colin.
Jake.
With,
Jake.
Joe and Jake. What was the I don't know if I put it out. You were like, Record Night Podcast.
Here we are once again.
No, so we're here for Record Night, and we're gonna start with last night. We had the Cosmic Record Night Podcast. We listened to Daniel Donato's Young Man's Country. We had
delicious subs. Delicious subs.
Dave's Cosmic Subs.
Yeah, they were good.
And what else was Cosmic?
Brownies, Cosmic Brownies.
And what else was Cosmic?
I'm gonna
the huge bong hits.
Hey.
Cosmic.
Pardon. That is for tobacco use only. So there was nothing...
the B word again.
Yeah, it's a water pipe, Jake. No. What else? The beer we had, the Cosmic.
The Cosmic beer,
apricot.
It was a sour. Yeah,
we had apricot and boysenberry. So it was a fun themed. It was a party, quite frankly, and I had a lot of fun. We didn't actually release that episode though, so we're gonna kind of look. I did save the highlights from last week, so we'll show you those and we'll take a look at those ourselves, and then we'll kind of talk about the record a week after we've listened to it. So. Here we go. First song is Justice. Trying to get the neighbors calling us tonight.
It's just us, no discussion. We don't rush into this head on way, keeping a little secret. You're my weakness, I'm guilty, it's so true. Ain't no justice without you.
Yeah.
I've always been a lover, always been a lover, but I'm a lover, so no slack on this rusty train. It's the same old thing, no hands on the wheel. I fork in the road, roll down. Words that were lost in the wind. This darkness you're traveling in. The weather was star ablaze with a candle flame. Drowning me before God's day. Meet me in Dallas, where it's happening. Meet me in Dallas, where I'm waiting. I am an old woman named after my mother. A old man is another child is grown old. Dreams is fonder, finding what desire. Sold house but it burnt down long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster for loving old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
So we just watched the highlights from the Cosmic Country record last week. You guys had some comments while we were watching it. So Joe, what a week later, kind of what are your thoughts?
Been listening to the Fire on the Mountain cover like on repeat. And the original too by the Grateful Dead. They're both very good in their own lanes, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that way about both covers, really. The Angel from Montgomery. Like,
yeah, oh yeah, and the John Prine cover too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the rest of the record, just a lot of good guitars and.
Well, but we mentioned what you mentioned before about like what you expected versus what you got as far as like Cosmic Country.
Oh, so when Colin was telling us, this is going to be Cosmic Country, there was a part in one song, Meeting in Dallas, maybe.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that
that
was
kind
that
of
the song?
breakdown before it goes off, like where it's like real spacey and.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more of those kind of spacey kind of sounds. But, I mean, I knew I was going to get a lot of guitar. I knew that right from the beginning. I just thought there was going to be more of those breaks where it's just like you're kind of just like floating through space. And then he goes back into the guitars. But there was only a few times where he did it. So I hope next album he does that more.
And that was really, I get totally what you're saying. And that's, to me, that's like meta-modern sounds in country music.
Yeah.
Was that, like that real spacey.
I mean, he really plays on it in that record. Like, he does it a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I like that record so much.
Yeah, and he said that that record is a big influence on what he's doing overall. Jake, we just watched. What are your thoughts a week after?
So one of the things I kind of noticed looking back, just hearing the clips of the different songs more in a like rapid session is, I did notice it last week. I don't think I mentioned it was how homogenous the record really was. Like
The first side, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, even with the second side, there was just this pace to it, which is interesting because in a lot of songs he shreds. Like usually there's that one song that shreds and it's a standout song, and there were a couple of those. But I think like overall, like I think this record would be a really good record to listen to like on a road trip. This is definitely like a road trip record for sure. Like I would love listening to this. Like. We've mentioned before how different musics and different moods. It depends what you're in the mood for, and I just think that like this is that kind of record that I would put on if I was on like a road trip or something like that. But yeah, it was really good. You almost lose track. He shreds so much. Like every single one of those clips, there's some raw guitar solo. It's like he does it so effortlessly. It's almost like you don't get that stand out because it's in like every song. You know what I mean? So. I'm curious as to if you do that every song. I'm curious as to his, like I said, he has a lot of potential. I'm like I said last week, I'm so excited to see what he can do as far as how he can place his tracks and if he can take us on a roller coaster rather than a straight line, because it's everything's there. The pieces are all there. I just think he's just so talented. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what he can do.
Yeah, I feel like both you guys alluded to that, but even kind of what you said about like, what he can do with more of the space on his next record.
And he's only what 25?
Yeah. For me, like
it's insane.
You and I have talked about how like none of us are country music fans by trade. Like that wasn't the first thing we were into, No. But like I've kind of noticed, like listening to Tyler Childers, some of this like old like. I'll say like dirty country, like more getting into like bluegrass kind of territory, like the speed of it and everything. Like it turns me on like more than I would expect.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
And
like,
so like
outlaw country,
yeah,
like
so
Hank, and all his songs and that,
And so like these songs, like on this Donato record, like to me he's playing a lot of that traditional kind of outlaw. It's got that country sound, but then let's crank it up and jam on the end of it. So that's like. Just perfect for me. So, I'm interested to see where he takes it too. But yeah, it couldn't get much better than that. It's the same reason why I liked, Sturgill doing a rock record so much. It's like, well, I'm not. I mean, I like country music, but again, it's not, my base or whatever. So like for him to do a rock record, like, fuck yeah.
Do you think Daniel will do another record next year?
I don't know. He put out something where he's gonna like put out 6. He's got another project in the works. I don't know if it's gonna be like an EP or something, but he said something about like recording like 6 like covers or something like that. So Yeah, I have no idea. I feel like everything's kind of up in the air for everybody, and he released this record independently, and it did really well. Like,
Oh, did it?
they sold out of all the vinyl copies they came out with and everything.
That's good.
Yeah, it's cool for not being on a label. So, I don't know. I feel like just for an artist, like, once they debut, now they're out there. Now some doors start to open up. Probably more doors than were there before. So
certain people listen to you. They shout you out or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the Cosmic Country record. So we'll look forward to what Daniel Donato's got coming next. But we've got to get to the record this week. So, well, maybe we can keep it on this part of the podcast as like a little preview with the reveal of the record that we're gonna do for the current record night.
Yeah.
So it's Joe's turn this week, and again, we don't know what he brought. He alluded earlier to you were gonna go to you could.
Yeah, I was gonna go up to the record store, and as I was like getting dressed, getting ready, I started having like a bad like stomach ache where I had to just be in the bathroom for a little bit. So I said we'll scratch those plans and we'll just get something from the collection that I already had. So actually, I brought 2 records. We're not going to listen to both of them, but the reason why I brought the second one is because, well, you'll see. So my first choice is not the one on top.
All right, well. Okay, I'm interested. So you've got a first choice, but we'll see what Jake and I. Well,
right. So we listened to the last podcast on YouTube would be Ghost.
Yes.
Correct? Ghost. And they're supposed to be a doom metal band, right?
Yes, come on.
So
please.
So I figured I'd go back to the original doom metal song.
Okay, I think I'm gonna like it.
Yes.
The first Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Record.
How about that record night podcast?